All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a classic David versus Goliath business case study. And honestly, it's absolutely wild. We're talking about the Japanese automotive market. You know, it's notoriously closed, fiercely protective, literally a fortress. For decades, massive foreign automakers have tried and completely failed to make even a dent there. But recently, this Taiwanese company actually managed to crack the code. And the craziest part? They didn't do it with billions of dollars or some massive global brand recognition. They did it with sheer grit, some serious ingenuity, and a brilliant underdog playbook. So, let's break down exactly how Racus Electric Vehicles went from a struggling startup to a dominant force in Japan.
Okay, let's dive into this. 15%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the massive market share RAC currently holds in Japan's electric bus market. In a country that is famously, fiercely loyal to its own domestic titans, the brands we all recognize globally, this relatively small foreign player swooped in and grabbed nearly a sixth of the entire market. It's an astonishing metric. It immediately tells us that something highly unconventional is happening behind the scenes here.
And to truly appreciate the scale of that achievement, just look at this comparison. Over on the left, you've got the absolute giants of the region. We're talking massive conglomerates like Yulon and Foxconn, companies with practically endless resources, massive supply chains, bottomless pockets, yet they're currently facing severe challenges trying to export their vehicles overseas. Then, on the right, you have RAS. Sure, they're Taiwan's largest electric bus maker, but on the global stage, they are a massive underdog. They had to overcome this staggering revenue gap, competing against players up to 2,700 times their size. 2,700! Yet RAS succeeded exactly where those titans are stumbling.
Section 1. 12 years in the dark. The cost of ambition.
You know the best underdog stories? They never start with a win. They start right at the bottom. RAC was founded way back in 2005, long before EVs were the global buzzword they are today. And charting a new path in a heavy industry like auto manufacturing, that requires immense upfront capital, relentless R&D, and, well, an incredible tolerance for failure. Which brings us to a really crucial number in their story, 12. For 12 consecutive years after they started, RAC endured devastating financial losses. 12 years. Imagine the sheer psychological and financial toll of bleeding money for over a decade. Actually, it's a miracle they survived. It's the kind of sustained, brutal pressure that bankrupts most companies. But for RAC, it kind of forged this scrappy survivalist mentality that would eventually become their absolute secret weapon.
Section 2. Unconventional hacker tactics.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how they pivoted. When RAC set their sights on Japan, they hit a brick wall. No favorable government policies, zero subsidies, and incredibly stubborn local customers who just did not want to take a risk on some unknown foreign brand. So they faced this universal business challenge. How do you sell to broke customers? The Japanese clients they were pitching to, the local transit authorities, they actually wanted to go green. They knew the future was electric, but they simply did not have the budget to replace their entire fleets with brand new, super expensive electric buses. The math just didn't work.
So this is where RSC executed an absolutely brilliant pivot. If you look at traditional auto sales on the left, the strategy is always to force new car sales, right? Build a shiny new EV, convince the customer to buy it. But RSC looked at the financial reality of their clients and thought, okay, let's try something completely different. On the right, you see their solution, retrofitting old gas buses. Instead of demanding their clients find the budget for a brand new vehicle, RSC offered to take their existing aging gas-guzzling fleets and just upgrade them into modern electric vehicles.
And they pulled this off through what you can really only describe as hacker-style engineering. RAC's engineers figured out how to cleverly graft state-of-the-art EV systems directly onto these old chassis. It was scrappy, it was totally unconventional, and it completely circumvented the massive manufacturing costs of building a bus from scratch. But here's the real genius of it. This hacker tactic drove the price down so dramatically that retrofitting an old bus became cheaper than continuing to run and maintain a traditional gas one. They literally defied local economic logic and made an offer the Japanese operators just could not refuse.
Section 3. The one-stop ecosystem.
Okay, so getting a foot in the door with scrappy retrofits was step one, but to truly conquer the market, RAC couldn't just stay a clever hacker. They had to become an absolutely indispensable partner, someone the client literally cannot live without. So the crucial point is captured perfectly by Chairman Tsai Yu-ching. He said, "From parts to energy, we cover it all. One-stop service is the main reason Taiwan won." You see, RAC realized bus operators didn't just want a vehicle, they wanted a solution to a massive logistical headache.
Going electric means worrying about charging infrastructure, the energy grid, totally new maintenance routines. It's a lot. So RAC just decided to take all of those problems completely off the customer's plate.
Let's walk through exactly how they built out this pipeline. Step 1. Parts manufacturing. They ensured high-quality, reliable components right from the source. Step 2. Energy management. This is huge. They didn't just hand over the keys and say, good luck. They provided the software and the infrastructure to manage exactly when and how these buses charged, optimizing energy costs for the operators. And step 3. A complete ecosystem. By stringing the whole shebang together, RAC offered a totally seamless end-to-end service. This total ecosystem approach was so robust that it finally broke down the ultimate barrier. It won them those crucial, notoriously hard-to-get subsidies from the Japanese government. That was a real game-changer that cemented their place in the market.
Section 4. The next hard battle.
So, RAC successfully executed the underdog playbook. They proved their concept, and they definitely won the battle. But, in the hyper-competitive world of EVs, the war is just beginning. Today, though, they are standing on incredibly solid ground, and this brilliantly illustrates their turnaround. Looking at their 2025 financials, they're projecting a massive revenue of approximately 2.1 billion new Taiwan dollars, pulling in a net profit of around 160 million. They have finally, triumphantly, escaped that brutal 12-year losing streak. They're highly profitable, validated by the market, and completely ready for whatever comes next.
Which leaves us with this final burning question. As the massive corporate giants, the Foxcons and the Yulons of the world, as they continue to advance and pour heavy investments into their own EV export strategies, how is the underdog going to defend its hard-won crown? RAC used hacker tactics, scrappy engineering, and a brilliant one-stop ecosystem to breach the fortress of the Japanese market. But holding the throne against incoming titans with bottomless war chests, that's going to require entirely new strategies. Will their agility continue to outpace the giants? It's absolutely a fascinating space to watch. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep your eyes on the road ahead.